Hey everyone, I'm Elina. I've been working as a model for over 14 years. Over the years, I've come across so many misconceptions about this industry. From the outside, it might look glamorous and effortless, but the reality is often very different. In today's video, I want to share some of the most unexpected, strange, and interesting moments from behind the scenes. Stories that people usually don't talk about, but I think they should. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss new videos. And you'll find a link to my Instagram in the description if you want to follow along there too. Let's get into it. This story sounds so absurd, I sometimes still can't believe it actually happened. It was a regular commercial shoot. I was already in full look, dress, makeup, hair, ready to go. Suddenly, the stylist noticed a small wrinkle on the front of the dress. We were running behind schedule, so instead of asking me to take the dress off to steam it properly, she grabbed a garment steamer and started steaming it while I was still wearing it. She began around my stomach area. Before I could even react, I felt a sharp pain. The steam went straight through the fabric and burned my skin. It wasn't severe burn, but it was definitely painful and left a mark. You'd think that would be enough for a lesson for everyone, right? Well, she apologized and then 3 minutes later did the exact same thing again. Yes, another blast of hot steam, another burn. I let out a loud ouch and physically jumped away. Only then did they ask me to take off the dress so they could finish steaming it. I was honestly angry, but I stayed professional and finished the shoot. Needless to say, I never worked with that team again. This is a typical example of how the fashion industry sometimes forgets that models are not just hangers or mannequins. We're human. This next story happened recently during a multi-day shoot. Day 1, we were in a studio. Everything was calm, well organized, smooth. Day 2, we were shooting on the rooftop of a tall building with a beautiful city skyline, strong wind, and intense sun. That day, a new girl joined the team as the photographer's assistant. She was helping with little things, holding reflectors, clearing space, organizing props. She was sweet, smiley, and even gave me a few compliments. Then after lunch, I noticed the makeup artist and brand owner whispering. They came over and said, "Do you know what just happened? That new assistant came up to us and said she wants to model and that she's willing to do it for free." We were all a bit frozen. It wasn't a formal situation, but the moment definitely felt awkward. This was a professional environment. Approaching the client mid-shoot, essentially saying, "Take me instead, I'll do it for free," is not initiative. It's disrespectful and unprofessional, even if she meant no harm. There is a time, place, and way to show initiative. Everyone starts somewhere. We've all sent cold emails, asked for advice, showed our portfolios, reached out after shoots, but interrupting a working shoot to try and replace someone? That's not ambition, that's poor judgment. And if you're serious about becoming a model, focus on building your value, not taking someone else's spot. Usually I don't panic about my skin or hair, despite hearing so many stories about models having their skin ruined or their hair damaged. I've always stayed calm. I never checked what makeup artists are using on me, and I don't freak out if they don't apply heat protectant to my hair. And you know what? I've been lucky. I've never had any serious negative consequences. The worst thing that happened to me was when an eyelash curler pinched my eyelid. It was really painful, and since then I've been scared whenever someone tries to do anything with my lashes. A few times I've had my ear accidentally burned with a curling iron. Nothing serious, but it hurt. But the biggest shock came from a different situation, a creative photo shoot. I wasn't paid for this shoot. One girl did my makeup, another did my hair. Both were really sweet and we chatted a lot. I was totally relaxed and didn't really pay attention to what they were doing to my hair. The next day I looked in the mirror and noticed a row of short hair sticking straight up on my head. At first I thought it was just new hair growing in, but when I looked closer I realized no, those hair were broken. I was shocked. You can't imagine how many hairstyles I've had done, bridal catalogs, 2-3 styles in one day, straightening and curling all in the same day, and I've never had anything like this happen. I really wanted to message the stylist, and I even wrote a message, attached photos and explained the situation, but then I took a deep breath and deleted. because what would it have changed? My hair wasn't going to fix itself. At best, she would apologize. At worst, she would get defensive or deny responsibility. When I was working in Ukraine, I never once got emails before a shoot with instructions like wash your hair, have a neutral manicure, shave your body. It was just obvious, like a given. But here in the US, it's often different. I've actually heard this from brand owners and photographers themselves. Models sometimes show up with body hair, chipped gel nails, no manicure at all, or even with hair extensions or lash extensions, which technically should be a no-go in some cases. I'm not judging anyone. In everyday life, people can look however they want. It's their body, their business. But when it comes to modeling, there are clear standards for appearance. Like it's obvious a model can show up to a shoot with black or brightly colored nails if it doesn't fit the concept. For example, if it's a beauty salon ad promoting laser hair removal, well, a model definitely can have unshaven underarms and dirty hair. No explanation needed. Another thing I often deal with as a model is clothing size. Probably over 60% of the time when I'm shooting lookbooks or campaigns, the clothes are way too big on me. Not always, but very often. The reason is simple. I'm not just slim, I'm petite. Yes, I have curves where they count, but at the same time I have skinny arms and legs, narrow shoulders and small waist, and generally very small proportions for my height. My usual size is extra small, but it really depends on the brand. And I've heard from people who've seen me in photos, then meet me in person, say things like, I didn't expect you be that small. They imagine me taller and more built for some reason. I'm the kind of person who can eat a big meal, drink a large cup of tea or matcha, and then calmly go do a bikini shoot just a minute later. When I used to see posts or hear women say that their stomachs bloat after eating, especially when they say it's normal for everyone, I used to feel a bit skeptical. That's just because it never happened to me, and I thought that was the norm. Only later, when I started diving deeper into fitness and nutrition, did I begin to understand that everyone's physiology is different and our bodies react differently to food, stress, workouts, and even different phases of the cycle. Now I better understand why bodies respond so differently. Here are some reasons. Some people naturally have softer stomach muscles, lower muscle tone, so after eating, their stomach visually sticks out more. Others with stronger deep core muscles barely show any change, even after a big meal. Core muscle tone, especially transverse abdominis. If these muscles are weak, for example after childbirth or due to a sedentary lifestyle, the organs aren't held in as tightly, so the belly tends to pop out. People who regularly train their core usually keep a flatter stomach. Honestly, focusing on deep core workouts has changed how my body feels day to day. If you want to try it too, check out Wispens. The platform has a huge library of targeted workouts, and there is a discount for up to 50% right now. I'll leave the link in the description. Bloating. This isn't fat. It's a reaction to food, too much fiber, lactose, sugar, gluten intolerance, or just an unbalanced diet. Some people just have more sensitive digestion, and that's totally normal. Digestion speed. Some people digest food faster, others take longer, which can create a feeling of fullness or bloating. Hormones, stress levels, and menstrual cycle phase also play a role. If you have poor posture like slouching, hyperlordosis, or pelvic tilt, your belly tends out more, especially after eating. Also, during the second half of the menstrual cycle, many women retain water, which can make you feel bloated even without eating much. This varies a lot. Some don't notice much change, others feel like they're 6 months pregnant. Our bodies are all different. What's normal for one person might be unusual for another. In all my years working as a model, I've never been outright cheated on payment. Sure, there have been delays and misunderstandings, but in In the end, everything always got resolved. There was only one case that left a really bitter aftertaste. We agreed that if the shoot ran overtime, I would be paid hourly for the extra time. And yes, the shoot did go over, so I worked longer. But when it came time to get paid, the photographer suddenly changed his mind. Why pay the full amount? That led to long back and forth messages. It was unpleasant, but eventually I got paid everything we agreed on. After that, I promised myself I'd never work with that photographer again. Time passed and I had almost forgotten about it until one day I got a message from an unknown number. "Hi Elina, we worked together before on catalog shoot. Are you available for new project?" I said yes with no suspicions. But when I showed up on location, the same photographer opened the door. Shock doesn't even cover it. I never imagined he'd have the nerve to contact me again, and from a different number, no less. Still, I pretended everything was fine. I thought, okay, maybe last time was just a misunderstanding, and I'm here now, I'll do my job. Hopefully this time things will go smoothly. And what do you think happened? The exact same situation repeated itself. I arrived at 9 a.m. By around 10:30 I was done with hair and makeup, but instead of starting the shoot, the photographer started dealing with some technical issues. Time went by, it was almost 1 p.m. and we still hadn't started shooting. I looked at the amount of clothing we had to shoot and realized we wouldn't finish on time. I went up to him and said clearly, "If I need to stay longer, that will be at my hourly rate. Please let me know now because I have other plans." Instead of answering, he said, "Why are you even talking to me about money? That's not the important thing." I was stunned. This was a hired photographer who probably doesn't work for free himself, telling me this while my time was being wasted due to his own technical delays. The most interesting part came later when I talked with the makeup artist. It turned out she had the exact same experience with this photographer: delays, payment issues, and a firm decision never to work with him again. "Oh, you're a model and you shoot in bikinis. There must be a lot of flirting and someone probably hits on you." It's one of the most common and completely wrong stereotypes about modeling. Let me be honest and clear, in my 14 years working as a model, that has never happened. When I moved to the US, I noticed something else. People here take it seriously. Everyone is extra careful about their behavior, not only because of ethics, but also because there are real legal consequences. Here, inappropriate behavior can lead to lawsuits or police involvement. It's a serious matter. Harassment isn't just a buzzword here. It carries real criminal consequences, so no one even thinks about acting out of line. Plus, I always wear my wedding ring. Even on shoots. Sometimes they ask me to take it off, but more often than not, I'm allowed to keep it on. And honestly, I'm just not the type of person you can flirt with. I get enough attention, I don't seek it and I don't need it. If someone tries to push that on me, it just annoys me. Despite the photos you see on my Instagram, yes, there are bikinis, I'm not a careless person. I'm serious and I don't tolerate when someone crosses my boundaries, acts too familiar or disrespect professional boundaries. But honestly, that rarely happens, because I'm one of those people whose face says it all, and I think many men pick up on that, so they don't even try, and I like it that way. All these stories are just my personal experience. Of course, every woman's journey is different. I'm sure other models have very different, sometimes even opposite stories. So if you have interesting stories, thoughts, or questions, drop them in the comments. If you found this video interesting and it resonated with you, please give it a like. And we'll see each other very soon. Bye for now.